We all know our dogs and we know how they're supposed to act. If we see them flagging, we see their nutrition flagging, we see them having muscle spasms, we see them not sleeping well, we see them itching their skin. All these should be signs that something.
G'day guys, thanks for joining me for another episode. Have you ever been concerned that your pet might not be getting the correct nutritional requirements that they need? Well, today's guest studied nutrition and cellular biology in the human health industry for 10 years and is the perfect person to help us understand potential nutritional gaps in our dog's diet. When Josh Haygood's 15-year-old dog was diagnosed with terminal cancer, he was devastated and determined to do everything possible to save her. Drawing on his decade of knowledge, he formulated a powerful blend of natural ingredients and fed it to his dog daily. Her health dramatically improved, allowing her to live for another 3 years. After witnessing these incredible results, Josh knew other dog families would want the best health and more time with their pets, leading to the creation of Mia Nutrition. Welcome to the podcast, Josh.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I love everything that you're doing at Mia Nutrition. Can you explain from your years of expertise and experience and research, what are the most common nutritional gaps in a dog's diet that pet parents might not know about?
I think it's a really good question. I think it's the question maybe not enough pet parents are asking. I know when I had my dog years ago and I was just starting to get into the nutrition world and it was all still very new, I didn't ask those questions. I thought, well, I'm buying a good brand and that should be enough. And what else do I need? But the more I learned about sort of cellular biology and metabolism, and I started getting deeper and deeper into really understanding how the body works, I realized that the magic is really in a lot of very small processes. We think about macros and fats and protein and so forth, and it's all important. But we don't often think about the very small little micronutrients that are actually critical for optimal health. And in a lot of commercial dog food, a lot of that's missing. I think there are some perfectly good brands on the market. There's a few, but the vast majority of the food we give our pets is it's made in huge quantities. It's baked at very high temperature. It's stored for a long time. All of these parts of the process can really reduce the nutritional content of whatever's in the food. And by the time it gets to your dog's bowl, there's not much left of what they really need. So our approach was, instead of telling everyone they have to change their food, if you have a food you like, maybe you cook at home, maybe you have something that works, you can keep it. But maybe it makes sense to supplement and sort of put back all those things that your food might not have to really help your dog kind of find optimal health. And that's really where this whole thing came from.
Yep. And what are the consequences potentially of feeding a diet that is lacking in some nutrients?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's a lot of things. Some are very subtle. Some are subtle. We know, for example, with low vitamin B, that we know dogs can get sort of, stiff and that they can have problems with their movement. We know that there's kind of a lot that happens in the evaluation of a dog's performance that has to do with their sleep and their mood and everything else. But if their nutrition isn't really there at a core level, then it's really, they're not receiving what they need. So we look at our dogs. We all know our dogs and we know how they're supposed to act. If we see them flagging, we see their nutrition flagging, we see them having muscle spasms, we see them not sleeping well, we see them itching their skin. All these should be signs that something might be wrong. And it might be something small. We know that low calcium, for example, can lead to weak bones and muscle spasms. So you think of a muscle spasm that's scary. Boy, you see your dog on the ground, and as my dog did a couple of times as she was sort of aging, really scared me. But it might be something simple like missing one ingredient like calcium. We know that, vitamin D deficiency leads to fractures and bone pain and muscle pain. How do you diagnose muscle pain? Could be a lot of things. Your dog could be overworked or their vitamins could be low. We don't know. There's a way to sort of go about it pragmatically and sort of do one thing at a time and sort of try to figure these things out. But typically we see dogs that have all kinds of symptoms. And where do you start? You start from, are they getting their core nutrition? Let's look at their food. What's in it? Does it have all the basic supplements that we need? We look for B9, B12, D, E, A, K, selenium, things like that, potassium. These are sort of what we look at as sort of the most important core ingredients of food should have. And in our research and developing this product, we found most dog foods sorely lacking in these areas. No wonder your dog is tired. No wonder your dog's scratching all the time. No wonder your dog wants to go on off the walk early. It's not their fault. It's not really your fault either, because a lot of people don't know. But when we give them what they need, we see massive turnarounds in their health. And we see that all the time in our testing. We'll take in a dog has some specified issue, they're itchy, their energy's low, and we get them on our product, and within a week sometimes, quickly, we start to see a real turnaround. The dog starts to, oh, wait a minute, I can run again. I feel good. I can move again. Their mood increases. My sister was thrilled. Her dog, Charlie, was one of my first test subjects. He was an 8-year-old doodle, and a bigger dog for sure, and just fun and dopey and like the greatest family dog ever. And he loved to be on the bed. She loved him on the bed. And at 8 years old, he couldn't jump up on the bed anymore. And she was really concerned. So I said, okay, perfect. This is a perfect test case. And I sent her the product. And it took probably 2.5 weeks or so of regular use. And she called me. I was worried. I thought something was wrong. Oh my, what's wrong? She says he's on the bed. Who? Charlie. What? Okay. No, you don't understand. He jumped on the bed. He hasn't jumped on the bed in 2 years. And I was thrilled. And Charlie was thrilled, quite frankly. He jumped down and was up. He just wanted to show off. Look what I can do. It kind of gave him his confidence back. My sister was thrilled. He's thrilled. I mean, it's a small thing, but it's a big thing. It's a quality of life issue. No one really knew that he was not getting what he needed until he showed signs. And we were able to turn that around. So that's kind of at the core of what this is all about. That a lot of what ails a lot of dogs is something actually pretty subtle very often. It might not be some massive disease process. It might be low vitamin E, which is very fixable. But the same thinking that got our dog to this place of health, the same feeding that got them there probably won't get them out. So that's where we start to think different.
Yep. And when we look at this from a scientific point of view, which supplements have been proven to improve a dog's overall health and longevity?
So we have a few majors that we really look for. Everything that we do is sort of backed by science. We don't want to guess. We know what we think is good, but we don't want to guess. So we really do turn to science. There was a great study on PubMed. If you want to look it up, it was called The Efficacy of a Dietary Supplement in Dogs with Osteoarthritis. This is something we see all the time. It's very common. Dogs get older. They can't move. They're shaky. And the NIH conducted a random placebo-controlled double-blind trial, which is the gold standard, to investigate the effects of things like chlorophyll and green tea extract and glucosamine, hyaluronic acid, things that seem kind of like not so exotic, really, but things dogs aren't getting, collagen in their diet, these types of things, which they did. And at the end of this, their conclusion was that using these types of products is absolutely beneficial, not only in alleviating pain, but reducing the clinical signs of osteoarthritis and really helping these dogs to regain full function, which they did not think was going to be the result, by the way. They really thought, like a lot of people, well, what's a little chlorella and green tea extract? It seems frou-frou. If you're not from that world, come on, I want the hammer. Give me the NyQuil and the Tylenol and give me the, that's not what this is about. It's about going to the cellular level, going to the base level of a dog's health and rebuilding them from their base back up. Instead of treating symptoms up at the surface, we're going in, giving them what they need on a very deep cellular level, giving them the energy they need, making their body efficient, helping it communicate with itself in an efficient way, optimizing hormones, all the things that happen with a good, well-balanced, healthy diet, and letting their health rebuild itself from the inside up. And that's very much what we're about. There was another one that's super interesting for your listeners that have working dogs or high-performance dogs, also on PubMed. This one's called Benefits of Dietary Supplements on the Physical Fitness of German Shepherd Dogs During Drug Detection Training Courses. So these are working high performance dogs, big dogs. They wanted to find out if there were changes that would happen in their psychology and also in their physicality if they gave them dietary supplements to improve their physical fitness. And what they concluded was using things like branched chain amino acid, carnitine, certain vitamins, all proved super effective in improving their physical fitness, their heart rate recovery, their energy metabolism, biomarkers of muscle damage, so on and so forth. And essentially, this is from the NIH, which is very reserved typically in their recommendations. And they said absolutely improving the fitness of drug detection dogs will optimize their performance in all contexts and should be recommended to all dogs doing this type of work. It's just a blanket statement of, yes, it probably makes sense to supplement our working dogs because it makes them absolutely more effective at what they do. And the government that invests a ton of money in these dogs wants to extend their working life as much as possible. They'd rather have a working dog get 2 more years of time in the field than spend another $60,000, which is what they spend on a new working dog, and have to retrain them and start from scratch. They'd rather keep the dog that already knows the ropes and for a very little cost, supplement their food and really give them those extra working years before they're retired. That was a huge breakthrough for them. So it's been tested. We know it works. And that knowledge became the foundation of what informed what's in this product.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I think one thing that's so confusing for pet parents is when they go to get a supplement, there are so many, and it's quite overwhelming for pet parents to choose. So what should they be looking for when they are going to choose a supplement?
That's a big one. And I think it's a really good question. So ingredients wise, there's certain things certainly you can look for sure. There's kind of the major B vitamins, D, E, A, K, potassium, magnesium, zinc, things like that. All good things. Even above that, I would think about the brand you're buying from. And this goes to your food as well. What's the ethos behind the brand? In terms of what kind of care is going into the preparation of the product? I can tell you from the manufacturing side, when we're making, our product, certain things need to be cold. Like spirulina needs to stay cold. It stays cold until the minute it's mixed into our mixture. It's kept in the dark and it's kept cold because that keeps it in an optimal state. We have bone broth that's defrosted because it comes in a liquid form very, very slowly. Our product is air dried for 24 hours, so we don't cook it at a high temperature. We don't lose the nutrient content. There's incredible care at every stage to make sure that we're not just putting good things in, which we hope we are, we think we are, but that we're caring for those ingredients and we're preserving all the potency of these ingredients all the way through into the bag and into your dog's bowl where it matters the most. So get a brand that has the essentials, that has calcium, that has vitamin D, that has omega-3s, which is huge, that has enough iron, that has enough zinc, that has vitamin E, that has your B vitamins, that has magnesium, all things that are in our product. I'm sure others have it as well. But make sure that whoever you're buying from really goes out of their way a little bit to tell you that they're preparing the product with care, that they're thinking about things like temperature, they're thinking about things like storage, and that they're not putting wonderful things in to get sort of a very limp, weaker product out the other end, that ultimately all that potency is getting to your dog, which is what really matters. So it's the ingredients, but also it's really how they're put together and really whether or not a company is taking the time to really make a potent, powerful product that will work. And that's all that matters.
So then once we've found a brand and found a supplement we like, at what stage should pet parents incorporate these supplements into a diet? Does it matter if their dog is, at different stages of life, whether they're puppy or an older dog maybe?
So certainly a puppy is a puppy. Chances are your puppy's bursting with energy and bursting with health, and that's just wonderful, and we love that. Most people that have puppies probably aren't quite thinking about supplementation yet, although it is never too early. You're not going to hurt them. Typically, people wait, in my opinion, too long. They wait until their dog's exhibiting some deficit, some problem. Oh, my dog can't stand upright. They can't walk right. And then they get scared. Oh, what am I going to do? I'm rushing. I need to find a solution. The good news is a lot of conditions that canines exhibit can be turned around to a large degree. That's the good news. Proper supplementation, a little bit better diet, things like that can make a tremendous difference. And we see that all the time in our testing. We actually test with one organization that finds rescues. And so they bring dogs in extremely rough shape. One in particular, this dog Buzz, who actually we put on our website, he was found in a parking lot in a paper box by himself in the rain. Just bad, sad. So this organization picked him up and they wanted to rehab him. He was skinny, his ribs were showing, no musculature, all that. So, and scared. So they gave him a lot of love to sort of calm him down, but they really wanted to rebuild his health so he'd be adoptable. So they gave him all the flea and tick and did all those things, but he was still very skinny. So they came to us and they said, do you think your product would work? We gave it to him. He was on it for about 5 weeks or so. He's about 6 months old, so he's young and growing. He put on several pounds of muscle in that much time and just filled out nice, shiny coat, looked great. His eyes were clearer and brighter. He probably was eating anything he could find on the street, so not great, garbage and whatever he could find. So we're just kind of doing the opposite and giving him this tremendous burst of sort of nutrition. And he looked fantastic. And he found a great forever home and was adopted out, and it was a real success story. But that sort of says a lot about just giving your dog the right inputs. You'll see the outputs that you want. It's not about necessarily worrying about exactly how many grams of these things and that things. A good, well-rounded supplement that's made well, that's fresh, should go a long way. Maybe there's some gaps that we're filling in other ways. We're adding in, other things. A product. Part of the reason why we created a product the way we did is because it is a full spectrum. It has omega-3s, it has bone broth, it has magnesium, it has B12, it has all those things in it. So really, wherever your dog is, we think that it'll be beneficial. Certainly, as dogs reach adulthood, people start thinking, how many years am I going to get? Because I want more. I had 18 with my dog. If I could have had more, I would have taken them for sure. And I think everybody would agree with that. So it's never really necessarily too early, but certainly think about your adult dog in a maintenance phase of they're doing great. We want to keep them doing great. Maybe don't wait until there's a deficit or a problem. Think about they're doing great now. And if I do the right things and really give them what they need, they'll stay doing great and they'll stay in a healthy state for a long time. And that's really, I think, an ideal situation. Just don't wait for a problem. Get ahead of it, really give them what they need so you don't have a problem. And you just have all those extra years with your dog.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And when we're looking at the products you create at Me Nutrition, do you use whole foods or do you use different vitamins? Can you tell us a little about the product that you guys make?
For sure. So we use both. Our beef is fresh beef, grass-fed beef. Our salmon is wild-caught fresh salmon that goes in. Eggs are fresh. All of those natural products are going in fresh. Things like our spirulina, which is a plant algae that comes from the ocean, comes in. It's kept cold and fresh and dark until it's ready to go in the product. We do offer a few other things. Some of the magnesium and other things, are prepared for us. But all of our vitamins and things are all coming from natural sources. There's no synthetic vitamins at all in our products. The fish oils, the cod oils, all of that is absolutely natural. We're very careful knowing that fish oils can arrive spoiled from some manufacturers. So we order from manufacturers where it comes in fresh. It's all tested. We're not just trying to sell you something to sell you something. We're trying to sell you something where you reach out to us a few weeks later, a month later, like, I can't believe it's the same dog. Those are the emails we like to get. And we hear that all the time. How is this the same dog? He's running again. He's jumping again. Like, he's not scratching. He's sleeping through the night. Like, all those little things seem trivial until they reverse. And you're like, oh my God, my dog has been lying there napping for 3 hours, undisturbed, calm and happy. He's been so restless and sort of uncomfortable for so many months. And now he's just calm and, enjoying himself. Like, it seems small until you realize how it affects their life and your life. I can relax again. He doesn't have to pee every 20 minutes. I mean, all these things we hear, it's giving your dog their freedom back. It's giving the families their freedom back. You don't want to live managing disease process, managing pain, and it's no fun. And your dog's not enjoying it. What if we could give them their vitality back? What if we could really reverse a couple of years and give them back how they used to be? Give them back the frisbee, give them back the runs in the park and all that. Your dog loves it and you love it. And maybe some stiff joints and some muscle pain has stopped some of that. What if we could make that go away and give your dog back all those playful, fun kind of moments? I know my dog and I were doing frisbee in the park till, I don't know, 14 or 15 years old. I mean, we didn't want to stop. And I feel blessed that we had that. We really had a lot of fun. And it's because I spent a lot of effort really making sure she got exactly what she needed. And that goes a long, long way.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So if our listeners should take one thing away from this episode, what do you think that should be?
We don't think a whole lot about our dog's nutrition. Most people don't. Even people maybe who think about their own nutrition, take vitamins and go to the gym and do healthy things. Even some of those people maybe don't really stop and think about their dog's nutrition. It's not really that complicated. A dog is an animal that's used to eating lots of different things. They could survive at one point in history in the wild by just foraging and finding things. But we give them one food and one food every day and only one food every day. Their gut reacts to that. Their body reacts to that. They don't have the gut flora and the biodiversity that we would like. They don't have the same immune system. They're just not as healthy and robust as a dog. It's eating lots of different things all the time. So whether you feed your dog the same thing or cook for them or whatever your feed is, consider that it more than likely probably isn't giving them everything that they need. And just consider, whether it's our product, whether it's somebody else's product, consider giving them something that really fills in all those little gaps, the little micronutrients, all the little things that seem trivial but really make a difference, and just see what happens. We tell people with our product, give us 2 bags. For dogs of most sizes, 2 bags is about 2 months. Give us 2 bags and tell us you don't have a totally different dog. And that's really our pitch. And we've never had anybody call and return it. We've never had anybody call, this is ridiculous. What do people reach out like, I can't believe it. Like, it's not magic. It's science. It's science. Science backs every single thing that's in our product. Our testing backs it up. My own dog's experience backs it up. And you'll find the same thing is true, that it really does make that level of appreciable difference. Just giving your dog what they need and letting them just be a dog and have fun, really, you'll see a massive difference. And I think just that little bit of like, we've been giving our dog the Costco food every day for 8 years, and now he's kind of slowing down and maybe we're missing something. If we could just spend a minute, like, just thinking about that, like maybe there's something more we could be doing, that would go so far in terms of really helping our dogs optimize their health. And we want to be a part of that. And that's why we're here.
I love that. I was actually just thinking that myself. Sometimes we get so stuck in our ways that we just need to hear something and it makes us reassess what we're doing each day. Thank you so much, Josh. It was a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Where can our listeners find you?
You can go to our website, eatlikemia.com, and find out more about the products. We're on social. We're on Instagram, Eat Like Mia. There's some videos and photos and some fun content there. And we love to hear from people. We love to hear from our customers. We love to hear from people just considering our product. We love the interaction. We love the feedback. We love hearing from our customers. And we have all kinds of fun promos we run. We give out discounts for fun selfies on the socials, and we like to have lots of interaction. So you go to our website, you'll find out all about it, and we'd love to meet you.
Awesome.
We'd love to help your dog.
Yep, I'll put some links in the show notes so all our listeners can find it. Thank you so much, Josh, again. It was a pleasure. It was lovely to have you on.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And to our listeners, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on another great episode. I'll see you next time.